first video. So what are we going to do today?
We are going to give you some tips and tricks to learn how to pronounce English correctly so you can speak English fluently.
But before we go on, we would like to introduce ourselves first and why we are here. My name is Melenia.
My name is Rini.
My name is Nickie.
And my name is Hakim. We are from English Studies major batch 2017. We made this video as our final project for the English Phonetics and Phonology class. This video is also so that we can share our knowledge that we learned from class to you all.
So many of you guys have learned English or still learning, and all of you really want to speak English fluently, but some of you might face problems in pronouncing English words. In fact, it is normal for you guys to have the problems.
There are several reasons for that. First of all, English is not our mother tongue, so we are learning a new complex articulation pattern that have orthographic inference between written language and spoken language.
At the same time, we are also changing established complex in our first language articulation patterns into a new one, that in this case is English. Also, we have to adjust into an automatic mode, because when we communicate, we can't think what our tongue and lips are doing.
In short, we have to adapt our brain and speech organs to a new set of sounds in English, and that's quite complicated.
So, let's move on to the tips and tricks.
The first tips for the right pronunciation is that you have to find authentic sources. You can choose whatever accent you want, but make sure that your source is really authentic.
Second, copy the native speakers that you have found from authentic sources. Focus on how to pronounce it, not what is said.
Third, you can record yourself, listen to it, and then compare it to the native speaker's pronunciation. Don't forget to record yourself over and over again because it may take some time for you to grasp the right pronunciation.
Last but not least, make sure to consult your dictionary. But be careful, don't look at the orthographic transcription, but look for the phonetic transcription. Because as we've said before, there is a difference between spoken language and written language. So if you want the right pronunciation, please check the phonetic transcription.
So we have mentioned about the use of phonetic transcription in dictionary for the right pronunciation. But what is it exactly? According to Concise Oxford Companion to the English Language First Edition, phonetic transcription is a printed or written representation of speech using a phonetic alphabet, and the best known system is International Phonetic Alphabet.
So here's the IPA table. Now that we've known what phonetic transcription and alphabets are, we'll tell you guys how to pronounce its sounds in English.
The first set of sounds we have are vowels, which is what we call in Bahasa as huruf vokal. But, of course, it sounds different than what we have in Bahasa. E as in it, long E as in she, A as in red, A as in and, long A as in father, long O as in August, short U as in put, long U as in you, as in focus, A as in up, O as in gone. Now I'm going to explain diphthong. Diphthong is a glide from one vowel to another, all produced rapidly and without interruption. And now I'm going to give an example. I as in time, kite. A as in pain, shade. A as in bear, hair. O as in home, bone. Ear as in weird, beer. Ow as in house, loud. Oi as in voice, coin. And finally, ur as in tour, lure. Next is triphthong. It's similar to diphthong. Instead, it has 3 vowels instead of 2. For example, air as in layer, player. Ire as in fire, tired. Oil as in loyal, royal, over as in lower, widower, and finally hour as in power, tower.
The next set of sounds are consonants. Yes, it is like the consonants that we know in Bahasa, but it has different manners and place for each sounds. There are plosives, fricatives, affricates, lateral approximant, and approximant. The first manner of consonant is plosive, a consonant characterized by a complete obstruction of the outgoing airstream, a build-up pressure, and a release of that pressure. It consists of sounds p, t, k, b, d, g. There are four phases to produce plosive sounds. The first phase is when the speech organs move to form an obstruction to prevent air to escape. And the second phase is when the air is stopped from escaping. We call it the compression phase. The third phase is when the speech organs that we used to form an obstruction before move to let the air escape. And the fourth phase is post-release phase. The first set of plosive sounds are p and b. The way to produce it is by moving your lips to form an obstruction by pursing them, so the air is prevented from being escaped, and then you move your lips again to allow air to escape. We are going to give 3 examples for each sounds. In the beginning of the word, in the middle, and at the end of the word. P as in pat, impossible, and keep. Next is the sound b as in book, bubble, and drop. The next are t and d. The way to produce them is the same with to produce the sound p and b. But instead of moving your lips to form an obstruction, you have to move your tongue to touch the back of your upper teeth to form an obstruction, so the air is stopped from escaping, and then you have to lower your tongue back so the air can escape. The sound t as in tall, enter, and sit. The sound d as in duck, adapt, good. And the last set of plosive sounds are k and g. The way to produce it is by raising the back of your tongue so it can touch the soft palate, and both of them form a stricture, and then the air is stopped from escaping, and then you lower the back of your tongue back so the air can escape. The sound k as in kangaroo, handkerchief, week. The last is the sound g as in game, again, big. Now you can notice that the sound b, d, g are slightly different than the other 3 because the 3 of them are more voiced. You can check it by touching your throat and feel if your vocal tract is vibrating.
The next one is fricatives. Fricatives are consonants with the characteristic that air passes through a narrow passage and makes a hissing sound. The first set of sounds in fricatives consists of f and v. You can feel your lower lip is in contact with your upper teeth as you make these sounds. The first sound is f, as in first, 50, staff. The next sound is V, as in view, invest, love. The next set of sounds consists of th and z. If you find difficulties in pronouncing these sounds, you can try to put the tip of your tongue behind your lower teeth and the blade of your tongue behind the upper teeth. The sound th, as in throw, ethics, cloth. The next sound is z, as in this, mother, breathe. The next set of sounds consists of s and z. For these sounds, you can put the tip of your tongue behind your upper teeth. The sound s, as in snake, basket, plus. The next sound is z, as in zebra, please. The fourth set of sounds consists of sh and j. For these sounds, you can feel that your tongue is in contact with an area slightly further back than that for s and z. The sound sh, as in shine, machine, wash. The sound j, as in measure, garage. The last sound of the fricatives is h. You can move your vocal folds from wide apart to close together to produce this sound. The sound h, as in hungry, ahead. As in plosives, there are several sounds that are voiced in fricatives. They are v, the, j, and z. You can check whether your vocal tract is vibrating or not when you produce these sounds.
The next sound are fricatives. Fricatives are rather complex consonants. They begin as plosives and end as fricatives. It begins with an articulation practically the same as t sound, but instead of a rapid release with plosion and aspiration, the tongue moves to the fricative sh. So the plosive sound is followed immediately by fricative noise. The ch sound, as in chain, exchange, and itch. The j sound, as in jump, agent, average. Another sound is nasals. The basic characteristic of nasal consonant is that the air passes through the nose. For this to happen, the soft palate must be lowered. But in the case of all vowels and consonants of English, the soft palate is raised and the air cannot pass through the nose. But in nasal consonant, the air cannot pass through the mouth because there is a complete closure in the mouth at some point. There are three types of closure here. The first is bilabial, the second is alveolar, and the last is velar. The sound m, as in moon, amazing, and room. The n sound, as in nurse, sunflower, man. The sound, as in singer, and ring.
Next manner is approximant, an articulation in which one articulator is close to another, but without the vocal tract being narrowed to such an extent that a turbulent airstream is being produced. For the approximant sounds, I'm going to explain how to produce each sound separately. First is the r sound. To produce the articulation of r is that the tip of the tongue approaches the roof of the mouth area in approximately the way it would for the t sound or d sound, but never actually makes contact with any part of the roof of the mouth. The tongue is in fact usually slightly curled backwards with the tip raised. R as in red, angry, anger. Second is the w consonant sound. To make this sound, the lips form a tight circle like oo. Also, the back of the tongue reaches up high in the back. The front part of the tongue remains forward, touching behind the bottom front teeth, or just a little further back than that. The w sound as in one, request. The last sound is y sound. It is made by creating a narrow space in your mouth through which air flows. In this case, the space is between your tongue and the top of your mouth. The sides are blocked, so the flow of air just goes through the middle of your mouth. Y as in young.
The last one, which is lateral approximant, is a consonant in which the air escapes through the sides of the tongue. The only sound in this manner is l, as in lemon, delay, inhale. If you make a l sound, you may be able to feel the sides of your tongue are pulled in and down, while the center is raised. It is also helpful if you can feel the air passes through the sides of your tongue.
Don't forget to pay attention to the symbols in phonetic transcription. Like this one, the stress mark symbol is where you should put the right stress in order to make our pronunciation sounds more natural. Also, the stress is important to differentiate noun and verb by giving prominence in syllable in a word. The prominence consists at least 4 different factors, such as length, loudness, high pitch, and quality. Some verbs and nouns have the same form. However, they have different stress in the syllables. If it is a noun, the stress is on the first syllable. When it comes to a verb, the stress is on the second syllable. Okay, I will give 2 examples here. The first example is in the word import. In the sentence, this is a cheap import. The import here acts as a noun. Meanwhile, in the following sentence, they import their oil from the UK. The import here acts as a verb. The second example is decrease. In the sentence, we have seen a decrease in the bird population. The decrease here acts as a noun. Otherwise, in the following sentence, numbers are decreasing every year. Decreasing here acts as a verb.
Okay, now that we have learned different sounds in English, so let's recap the tips and tricks. Find authentic sources, copy the native speaker's pronunciation,
Record and listen to your pronunciation, compare your pronunciation to native speakers, and consult the dictionary and look for the phonetic transcription.
Well, that's all the tips and tricks and a short note of phonetics that we can share to you today.
Hope you guys find this useful for learning pronunciation. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Keep practicing and we will see you later.
Bye!
복잡해 틈 만나면 바뀌는 게 관둘래 이놈의 정보화 시대 단단히 잘못됐어 요즘은 아는 게 더